Good morning, my Aloha tribe, and welcome to the Aloha Perspective, where you get a little bit of something and a whole lot of everything. Happy Wednesday. It is hump day. Hump day, hump day, hump day, hump day, hump day. Excuse me, I'm a little out of sorts this morning. Which seems like every morning, right? But honestly, I think sometimes I overplay it. But no, I am here. But it's always like, when you hit go on the camera, everything seems to just say, oh, hey, look at me. Pay attention to this. Pay attention to that. So, it's like my glasses aren't even messy. They're just little flecks of something, probably my makeup on there. So anyways, here we are. Good morning, Muddy Twin. And of course, on cue, my nose is running. So, all right, happy hump day. All right, let's get rolling. Let's get rolling. I'm excited about today. Just as a quick, shout out, I will not be on tomorrow. I am. So here's the thing about awakening. The interesting thing about all the messages this week is that they've all pointed to kind of the same thing. Monday, I talked about, awakening and all the things that entail it and all the, excuse me, all the signs we might get from it. And then yesterday we had the wisdom card and it talked about how to remove things, like things that don't serve you anymore. And by serve, I don't mean, people who bow and praise you. I mean, or who do everything for you. I mean, what's not of service to your life, what doesn't jive with you, what doesn't vibe with you, what doesn't sit well with you, right? So I'm not going to tie my hands down today. I talk with my hands. That's how it is. I don't know, but it is a thing. Always been that way. So the interesting thing is I found what we're going to talk about today on Facebook. And it's called the Buddhism Facebook page. Now, I don't follow it. I do now, just because I like the sayings. I do not belong to any particular religion, but I do believe that every religion offers us, wise, or wisdom, I should say, just wisdom. And I wrote this down. And as I was thinking about it last night, because I almost changed the theme of the show, and then I reread this and was like, oh my gosh, this is like the theme of the week. So the reason I'm not going to be on tomorrow is because I have stepped into my awakening fully and wholly, and it's scaring the hell out of me because it is big change for me. It is massive change, and it's going to be me getting comfortable being uncomfortable until I understand how to really just kind of balance with this new energy, because it is different. It's me. You know what? I thought I put my rings on the way I was supposed to, but they're just not comfortable that way. It's me just moving in to this new mindset and, staying there. When we awaken or we arise or we become the full person that we are meant to be, the full soul we are meant to be, it requires patience, it requires compassion, it requires grace, and it requires understanding. And most importantly, it requires focus. So for the next 4 days, starting tomorrow, probably after the show, starting today. So for the next 5 days, I guess, I'm going to be trying to focus. And I'm not saying that by next Monday, I'll be in that mode. But what I'm saying is that I will probably have a better understanding of what is happening, of what I am, going through during this awakening. So like I said, we talked about awakening on Monday. We talked about wisdom yesterday and all the things. And then, like I said, today's message really kind of ties everything up. So again, because I'm going through this interesting spiritual awakening and really stepping into my true purpose and stepping into the true, essence of my soul, I will need to take tomorrow and the rest of the week off just to kind of balance and learn about this, do what I need to do to just say, hey, Shelley Marie, we don't want to go backwards. I work too hard to go backwards. So baby sibling, good morning. Speaking of which, and this was going to come next, not because she's on, but because I was going to say it anyways, happy 14th birthday to my nephew. I can't believe he's 14. Seriously. I remember where I was when she told me he was born. I can't remember the time of day. I remember it was around late morning or afternoon, but I remember where I was standing, in what line I was standing in, and where I was. And it was just like, wow, oh my gosh, he's here. Now he's 14 and in high school. Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy on her soul, because she's a mama of teenagers. Well, a teenager and a soon-to-be almost teenager. Good morning, older sibling. Look, I got all the sisters in. Oh, 1222. That is wild. Seriously, 1222. That number follows baby sibling like, I don't know, like a shadow. Like legit a shadow. So anyways, again, from the Buddhism Facebook page. Just again, I want to remind everybody, I do not tie myself in religiously to any particular religion. I am probably always going to be a Catholic at heart. It's in my blood. It's ingrained in me because of my mother. It keeps me tied to my mother. But like I said, I think every religion offers us, or every spiritual practice, shows us wisdom. And it shows us the kindness, but we have to find the kindness in the text. We have to live that kindness. Like I said, remember, if whether you believe in him or not, or you just think of him as a prophet, Jesus was all about love one another. Jesus wasn't about, hey, here's a Bible, go hit someone with it. No, he was about loving one another. But this is going to tie up the week that we have had. So I'm going to read something first that Sammy sent me yesterday. It hit home like a box of rocks landed. She sent this to me yesterday, and it was after the talk we had on wisdom and everything we shared and everything we went through, on, knowing what we are worthy of and knowing what we deserve. So let's see. I put from Sammy, and then we'll get into the full text of what I want. But I wanted to read this first to kind of tie into what we talked about, right? So if we envision and honestly, I don't know where this came from. It's a passage from something she's reading. So anyways, good morning, Allie. So these four are hilarious. It's like everyone's hi. So anyways, and in case you guys want to say hi to Allie, Allie's tuning in from the UK. So my girls finally got it down. Hi, everyone. So anyways, if we envision ourselves as a riverbank, always being molded by the river flow, we see that we too are being shaped. I cannot escape. All experience is raw material that goes into the making of me, writes Thurman. While my experiences shape myself ultimately, yet I am not my experiences. I am an experiencer, but without my particular experiences, I would not be who I am. I am what I am at any particular moment by standing on the shoulders of an infinite series of yesterdays. I love that last line, by standing on the shoulders of an infinite series of yesterdays. And what I liked about it is he's not... this person is not talking about the choices we've made, whether they were good or bad. They're just saying, I am shaped by the experiences of every single yesterday that happened, before me. And they lead me to today, because today may not be the greatest day of your life, but it will shape tomorrow, because tomorrow you're going to say, you know what? No, I'm going to have a better day today. Or today may be a great day, and tomorrow you're going to shape it because you're going to say, wow, you know what? Yesterday was great. Let's see if we can emulate it, not, relive it, step by step, because that's not going to happen. But, emulate that feeling, emulate that glow that you might have had. So each day, even though we may go through our traditional routines of whatever we do, is going to be a different day. And we are going to build on our experiences by standing on the shoulders of an infinite series of yesterdays. So I love that. Sammy, you're going to have to tell me where that came from, because that we were both talking about how this one landed hard. I mean, like it, she she quoted Queensryche. So, when people start quoting music quotes at you, then it hits home, right? Because Sammy and Laura are like they're my little music aficionados. So anyway, so this again is from the Buddhism page. Like I said, I didn't, and this is exactly what it's called, Buddhism FB page. And I follow them now. And like I said, I'm not any particular religion. I'm just spiritual, but I like to grab different ideas from different places because they're amazing. So this is what it says. Protect your space. It's sacred. Not everything you hold on to is meant for you. Sometimes the very thing you cling to is the very thing that is draining your soul. Love that feels heavy, full of doubts and constant effort without joy is not love. It's attachment. Friendships that leave you feeling small, used, or unappreciated are not friendships, they're burdens. Jobs that strip away your energy, your creativity, and your spirit without giving you purpose or fulfillment are not careers, they're cages. Anything truly meant for you will nourish you, not exhaust you. It will give you strength, not take it away. It will feel like alignment, not resistance. If you constantly walk away from a person, place, or situation feeling depleted, your soul is whispering the truth. This is not for you. Your peace is not a luxury. It's a compass. It points you towards what belongs in your life and warns you against what doesn't. Protect your peace, guard your energy, choose alignment over approval, and fulfillment over struggle, because when you honor your soul, life honors you back. If it drains you, it's not for you. Love, friendships, jobs, anything meant for you will nourish you, not exhaust you. If you constantly feel depleted after being around someone or something, it's not aligned with your soul. Your peace is the biggest sign of your peace. Peace is the biggest sign of what belongs in your life. Protect it. Now, some of these are kind of a double-edged sword. All right, so I'm going to go through each one, because you may be like, but wait, there's somebody I love, but maybe they drain you sometimes. But see, here's the difference. It's strengthening you, right? Because it says right in there, if you come away with strength, then you're growing, you're learning as well. You're guiding someone through something. If this is a case where you were constantly feeling like, because a lot of times when that happens, it's not personal. It's just them dealing with something. But with other people, they make it personal, right? They make it personal and, they blame you for everything, but they don't give you a reason why. They just do it. And then you're like, well, what the hell? What did I do? So, this is what it's saying. It's saying that, sometimes we are going to walk away. It's not always easy. Sometimes it will bring something back, but it'll bring something back different, because there'll be a better understanding. There'll be a better knowing of what was lost. So don't just look at these, as the surface. You got to look below the surface on these. So let's go through each one of these. So 1, love. Okay, well, first, protect your space. It's sacred. Your space is sacred. If you need to sage or white light or pray or whatever it is you need to do to protect your space, do it. Because, your space is sacred. I couldn't sleep last night. I got to bed about 2:30 in the morning. I just laid in bed. I was reading a book, then I was playing Wordle, then I was playing games, and the whole time. And then about 2 o'clock, I was like, you know what? Maybe I'm just supposed to sit on the floor and just soak in. And I did that for about 10 minutes. And by 2:30, I was out. Because then I sat on my bed for another 10 minutes, just trying to soak it all in. And I'm all like, maybe this is it. Maybe I'm just trying to balance. The weird thing is, I only got about just under 5 hours of sleep, but I feel wide awake. I don't know how I'm going to feel in about 6 hours, but right now I feel wide awake. Because I know that, and this is one of the reasons why, again, I have to take tomorrow off. Because there's a lot happening. And a lot of people will say, oh, Shelly Marie, blah, 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 it's on your head. No. When it doesn't hurt to be open-minded. It doesn't hurt to fall into who we are supposed to be, to just kind of, just sink into who we are. A lot of times we ignore this. A lot of times we ignore who we are, what we're becoming, because either it's too scary, it's too much work, or it's just kind of like, yeah, I don't like it. I'm out. I'm just going to settle for the status quo. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with the status quo. Absolutely nothing wrong. That's a choice. And you have free will. So you are allowed to make choices of your own. And if that's what you choose, that's great. But don't minimize somebody else's journey because yours is different. Everybody's journey is different. A lot of my family that I'm very close to don't necessarily understand what I'm going through, but they honor it because they love me. And I love them for it because they allow me to just be who I am without question and or judgment, at least not to my face. So, and I mean, they always say these nice things to me, and they're things that come from the heart. So, because, my family can be very blunt, so as you can tell from me. So, it's just, even if you don't understand it, don't judge it. Because it's not your journey, it's theirs. So love that feels heavy, full of doubts and constant effort without joy is not love, it's attachment. We talked about this yesterday in regards to the relationships I had been in. I had chosen people that felt, I think subconsciously I thought I could fix. Or maybe I just fell hard and I needed to be a part of something. Whatever it was, I definitely know that last statement was a part of it. I thought love was physical. I didn't realize love is like the word aloha. It has a lot of different meanings, but it's a feeling. It's a feeling deep within us, a feeling of something just good. And really in a way, aloha also means love. It has a lot of different meanings, but again, it's a feeling. And that's what love is. Love is a feeling. It's not something physical. It's not the sex you have. It's not just that, it's all the little things. It's the intimacy as well, if you're in a very healthy relationship, but it's also everything else. It's the little things you do for one another. It's the little things that, you say to one another. It's, someone holding space for you and holding you when you're falling apart. That's love. And I didn't understand that. So for me, even though I had fallen for these people that I had dated in the past, and I fell hard for the last two, it was more, I think when I look back on it now, especially the last one, or not the last one, but the one the second before last one, the one that asked me to marry him, that was an attachment. That was really kind of a dependency thing. The last one I really did love. That was probably, even though it was not the healthiest relationship, it was probably the healthiest one I'd ever had. And it was the closest to what, self-worth felt like. But again, it had its issues, and every relationship is going to have its issues, right? You're probably saying, well, why'd you break up with him then? Because there were a lot of other underlying issues and they couldn't be fixed. I was basically the only one in that relationship doing any work. So, and it takes work from both sides. That's what love is. So when I say it's like a double-edged sword, it says love that feels heavy, full of doubts and constant effort without joy is not love, it's attachment. I don't always think that's it. When you love somebody and they're going through something, you are going to do everything you can to help them through it. You're not going to try to fix them. You're not going to try to say, oh, okay, well, I'm just going to ignore it. No, you're going to take their hand. You are going to hold space for them when they are losing their ever-loving mind, and you are going to love them through it. Because that's not attachment, that is love. But when you hang on to something out of desperation, that's attachment. And to me, that's the difference. And to me, that's how we know the difference. When you love somebody, you do what you can to help them through things. I talked about this, how, when older sibling really just kind of took a hold of my hand and said, I am not letting go until you are better. she taught me how to trust people. I still have trust issues, and I still have trouble letting people in really close to me. But she taught me how, when people offer themselves, offer who they are to you in all truth and all honesty, to trust that. And, and I do. I am learning that now. And, it's very difficult. And yeah, that's not a relationship, that's a sibling relationship. But, there's people that I will talk to and trust. I mean, like there's 4 of them on right now. Allie and my cousin Jeannie, who I don't think is on right now, but, my cousin Jeannie, baby sibling, older sibling, bestie. These are people who, and obviously the regular family members in my life, but these are people who have been solid on my journey. Older sibling Sammy and baby sibling and, bestie Troy. But definitely, the first 3. And, they've held space for me. And that's what love is. Love is holding space. Like I said, love is really what aloha is. Aloha is not just a word, it's a feeling. It's not just an act, it's a feeling. And love does heal. Love can heal. And so that's why, just in a little bit of a way, I said when it comes to these things we're going to read, you have to look below the surface of the words. You can't just say, take it, for full value, just the words on here. You have to say, even though this drains me and leaves me sometimes with, doubts and feels like constant effort, is it worth the effort? Because if it is for you, then that's love, because you're loving somebody through something that they could not do by themselves. Even if they think they can, and even if they think they are doing it by themselves, you are loving them through that. And you are letting them find their own way without abandoning them. So, and I'm grateful to all the people who have done that for me, because I would not be here without that. And I mean, I have lots of really good friends now in the UK that I love to bits and pieces, and I've never met them in person, but I trust them with, my secrets. I trust them with what I know. Sammy, I've never met in person. I've known her for like 24 years, but I trust her. And that's what trust is. It's putting your faith in someone else. So, friendships. Friendships that leave you feeling small, used, or unappreciated are not friendships, they're burdens. Walk away. Walk away. All right? This one, again, kind of a surface thing, because sometimes we have to lead our friends, with love through dumb things. But when people are constantly letting you down, or when people, don't like what you have to say, and so they put you down, or they call you nasty names, or they say horrible things about you that aren't true and start bitch talking you behind your back, you don't need to deal with that. And I don't care if it's a family member or if it's a friend. You don't have to deal with that. You can set your boundaries. If you are willing to keep this person in your life, set boundaries. Or tell them straight to their face. It's like, look, every time you get mad, I get thrown under the bus. So, either stop or that's it. And you can let them choose. And if you lose that friend, they weren't a friend. Okay, if you lose that person, they were not your friend to begin with. They were just somebody who just, kind of vampire energied you, every time you were around. And then, just kind of tossed you to the wind like you're nothing. That's not friendship. That is somebody who is just like Colin from What We Do in the Shadows and just taking your vampire energy, just sucking the energy right out of you. And you don't need that. And by the way, that's a great show. So anyways, jobs that strip away your energy, your creativity, and your spirit without giving you purpose or fulfillment are not careers, they're cages. This is a catch-22 one for me, okay? Because we talked about my experience and, how my job had become my entire identity. And when I look back on it, it really was a cage. I loved the people, but there were times when it's just kind of like, do I really have to go there? The only thing that would get me there was the fact that I loved the people I worked with. But here's the thing. When you develop friendships with people and you leave someplace, those people are generally who, if they really are your friends, they're going to stay in your life. And I have 4 people who, I still talk to from time to time. And, and when I'm home, I actually get to see. So, but, those are the people that aren't just your coworkers, they're your friends. They're the people that just say, hey, you know what, this isn't for a season. This might possibly be for a lifetime. And I'm going to keep checking in on you to make sure you're okay. All right. So jobs, and and that's okay, because we all need to make a paycheck, right? We all need that paycheck. So if you're not happy there, start taking classes, or do something like, if you want to move up in the company, take classes that might help you with that. And look into, if you work for a corporation, look into that, because a lot of times they will help pay for your schooling. If you work for a university, or you are retired from a university and you are retired in good standing, you probably have benefits. And I think sometimes your kids will too, if they attend while you're working there. And, I didn't know any of this growing up, and I'm not sure my parents knew about any of this growing up, or if it even existed back then, but I'm pretty sure it did. But for instance, my cousin's retired now, right? And she used to work for a junior college out here. Now she can take any course she wants for like $5. She is addicted to pickleball. She is addicted to pickleball. That is her thing. That is her jam. Her retirement jam is pickleball. And so she keeps taking pickleball classes, but she's like, yeah, she's all for $5. Why not? And it's an entire semester. So, I don't know if that's ever going to change. It might, but that's the thing. Look in your companies for these things. If you have a dream job, or you have some place that you want to go, or maybe you're just not happy where you're at because you feel like it is like, walking into a vampire den and everybody just sucks the life out of you, then, just put it out there. Put the feelers out there to the universe, to whoever you put your faith in, whichever, and say, look, can you please help me find the right place? Sissy Joe did that. And Sissy Joe ended up, in a very good place where when she passed away, she was actually a VP at that point, because, there's a lot of stuff in the background, but, she was appreciated there. She did a lot of work, and she was acknowledged for the work that she did. She wasn't just looked at like, okay, yeah, whatever, thanks for doing that, but, we're going to continue to take advantage of you for this. But, she was admired for that, and she was acknowledged, and, they reciprocated in kind and in pay. So, she found the place where she fit, and that was good for her. So, just remember that anything truly meant for you will nourish you, not exhaust you. It will give you strength, not take it away. It will feel like alignment, not resistance. Sometimes that's the hardest part, is knowing what is alignment and not resistance. When you know, you know. So don't let anybody steer you away from your path. Like we talked about yesterday, and as we talked about Monday, when it comes to awakenings, or whatever you want to call it, opening your eyes, opening your heart, opening your soul, falling into complete healing, being on a healing journey, whatever however you want to label it. An awakening to me just feels like the appropriate word, because we're opening our eyes and seeing the world, even with all of its dings and dents and, its broken bits and pieces. We're looking at it like a piece of art, almost like a Picasso painting, right? It's just all these different shapes and hard shapes and edges, and you're just kind of like, huh, okay. Or you're looking at a Van Gogh painting and going, wow, he really did use a lot of sunflowers, didn't he? He must really like sunflowers. Or maybe it was because it was sunshine in his life that he couldn't find, in his heart. But I don't know. I don't know Van Gogh. But what I'm saying is that we start to see the world. When I began my healing journey years ago, I remember Sibling and I got home, and I was walking up, and, instead of just kind of looking at the ground like I always did, I looked up and I'm all, has this place always been this pretty? And she just kind of looked at me, and she just kind of smiled, and then, walked through the gate. But I was, I was stunned, and I was looking around, and she knew. She didn't have to say anything, but she knew. But it was like, wow, because I was finally seeing the world that was in front of me. Dings and all, But even now, I look out over this. I got to wash this window, though. But I look out over, out this window, and it's just kind of like, that this window, and I've, has seen a lot. This is literally the window to my teenage soul and my young adult soul. And it saw a lot. Saw a lot of pain, saw a lot of joy, saw a lot of confusion and anguish and anger and sadness and more joy. And now it has seen my healing. It has seen me through the rest of the journey. And being where I'm at now, I understand what all these things are trying to say. But I also know that for some of them, we have to go below the surface. Because some of these things, these kind of things to me are guidelines. They're not necessarily the rules written in stone. They're guidelines. They're saying, if something doesn't align with you or it doesn't nourish you, walk away. But you may think, but I don't want to walk away. Maybe you love this person, or maybe you love this friend or this family member, and you're not, there's more to them than just, this outward burst of whatever it is. We have trauma. I used to be a hurt person that hurt people. And so I understand that. I see that. And the reason I am not ashamed to admit that is because that was part of the healing. Part of the healing was making those amends, was making, trying to make up for that person that was so damaged inside and so broken that couldn't piece herself back together and didn't want help because that meant letting somebody in. That was the trauma. But when I look back at these things, I realize that we can't always walk away from people who we need to hold space for. But like I said, if this is not something that really nourishes your soul, if this is not a person that you feel is worth the time, you're allowed to walk away. I've talked about, friendships I've had to grieve recently, and it's like, one day I just woke up and I thought, fuck it. Seriously, why am I angry because somebody can't see my value? And I say that not to toot my own horn, not to pat myself on the back, but because I tried really, 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 really hard to save that friendship. But their mindset was just in a different direction. And I realized I don't need to fight for something if I'm the only person fighting for it. So Allie says, it's taken me years to understand all of this. For too long, I felt exhausted from people, continually hurt by people, both friends and family. It's not always easy to walk away, but I'm getting better at it. It really isn't easy to walk away. Yesterday, we did talk about this. Yesterday was the relationship card, or the wisdom card, excuse me. And just as a refresher, I'm going to read it again because it's, don't forget, these are the affirmators. So there's a little bit of snarkiness involved, but I think it's worth a reread, especially going through what we're going through today. So with every relationship, I gain invaluable wisdom. I'm continually learning which qualities stimulate, support, and inspire me, and which ones make me want to cram a soup spoon into my ear and turn it slowly. In that sense, even failed relationships are actually successes. See how wise I sound? And what that was saying is that even when we choose to walk away, we are allowed to look back on these things and say, hey, you know what? This is what I learned from it. Maybe you learned your self-love from it. Maybe you learned your self-worth from it. Maybe you learned that, it's okay to trust people, but it's also okay to walk away when they let you down. And that will go both ways. I am sure... it's like I said, I lost a friendship that I tried really, really hard to save. And it wasn't enough. And I had to realize that, that's okay. I don't need that kind of drama in my life. But on the flip side, I almost lost my best friend from high school, since high school, I should say, because I wasn't being the friend they needed. And they weren't wrong. They were just finally able to find the courage to say, look, they hit their peak and said, look, you know what? You need to be better. It's like, I'm doing all the work here. And I realized, oh my God, they're right. I'm always sitting here preaching about how everything should be equal, how we should be both, how all of us, whether it's friendships or intimate relationships or families or whatever, how we, there should be like equal footing, how we need a give and take, not just a take. And I was taking because I took for granted that relationship. I took for granted that this was always my safety net and it was always going to be there. And then all of a sudden, when there was a threat that it was going to be gone, it's like, oh my God, like my mind and my eyes opened so wide. And all I could say was, you're not wrong. And I'm sorry. And like I said, I don't think he saw that coming because he's like, oh. And, I was in the car when this was happening, but I love Bestie for that. And I've realized that I need to make a better effort. And when I know I'm spiraling, I will write it in my planner. Call Bestie, text Bestie, don't forget. Because sometimes, we get outside of our mind and we forget. And we, even though I'm through my healing journey, excuse me, my goodness. I am so sorry. Even though I'm through my healing journey and I've moved into thriving, having done this awakening, I still need people to help me hold space from time to time. Coming into an awakening, coming into my healing does not negate the fact that I do struggle with my mental health, that I do have depression, that it's not just situational based, it's a chemical imbalance. And sometimes that chemical imbalance, or whatever you want to call it, it can upend me. It doesn't matter how awakened you are always going to be fighting off negative thoughts. And, they're becoming easier for me to fight off. Because I've learned the tools. I've learned how to, manage them. I've learned to say, I cancel this thought when it's something negative. Something that simple. I cancel this thought. But that doesn't mean that I'm not always going to spiral. That doesn't mean something's going to upend me. I can do everything I can to try to balance it before that happens. But I live in reality. And I do know that no matter how awakened I get, there might be those times when I'm going to struggle. And that's why we have the people in our lives that we love. That's just so funny. There's this hummingbird. And I have to tell you guys about something else that happened yesterday. But it's so funny. I keep seeing this hummingbird and my mom, that was a raven. And my mom keeps popping up in my head. So, maybe that's just her going, yay, babe, you finally got it. So, or maybe Sissy Joe, I don't know. She usually comes through as a pink butterfly. But anyways, but yeah, no matter how put together somebody might seem to you, that doesn't mean they don't need your support. That doesn't mean they don't need your love. It means that they are strong and they're doing everything they can to hold it together. But when you feel like something's off, it probably is. There are times when older sibling will just, text me, are you okay? And she'll just know because we have that spiritual connection. Or even baby sibling, how's it going? And they'll just say, how's it going? Or they'll know from your text that, you're not feeling like all normal. So it's just about being patient with one another and loving with an open mind and an open heart. And remember, you don't have to, it's like it says right here, if it drains you, it's not for you. It is hard to lose people that you think you've trusted or that you have trusted and that you gave your time to. But to be honest with you, if you feel like you're in a good place, you don't owe anyone anything. If your slate, and nobody's slate is ever truly clean, so take this for how I'm going to say it. If your slate is clean and you feel like you've done everything to help somebody or to be there for somebody, you've even let them walk over you or throw you under the bus or, throw you from the back of the train, whatever it is. If it drains you, it's not for you. Sometimes we need to step away in order for people to see, what we add to their lives. And sometimes too, we have to remember to not, sometimes we have to not take things personally. And I think, even though sometimes I could make older sibling cry, still not proud of that, never will be. She knew it wasn't about her. But she's a very non-confrontational person. She is the ultimate definition, her and Sammy, of flower children. Okay, she knew it wasn't about her, but she wasn't going to fight back. And I think that the tears weren't, fear. They were probably frustration and a little bit of, sorrow for why can't I get through to this person? And I don't know, I can't speak for her. But when I look back, I think, maybe that's exactly what it was. Because I cry when I'm angry. Because I don't know what else to do. If I can't yell, scream, or something, it will come out as tears. And, that's just how sometimes it happens. But it was never about her. It was always about what I couldn't heal. It was the damage somebody else had done to me. Somebody else had, two other somebodies had created. And I had that shield up. I had that wall up. And that wall could be very mean. It's like, if you think about a cartoon and people are walking up and they're like, yeah, we're going to conquer this castle. And all of a sudden the wall just poof, punches them, right? And they go flying back 1,000 feet. And you're like, damn. And you try every different thing. So, that's, I'm so sorry. Damn nose. So just remember that. Your peace is not a luxury. It's a compass. It points you towards it points you towards what belongs in your life and warns you against what doesn't. Your peace is everything. And if people choose to continually disturb that peace, you are allowed to walk away. If they were adults, you were allowed to walk away. All right? If they're children, kids will push you. They will test you. And sometimes they won't tell you why. Sometimes they won't, be able to articulate it. Maybe there's some kind of pain inside of them, some kind of hurt that even they don't understand. And they will push you to test the boundaries to see and make sure that you still love them. And that's kind of what I did to sibling. I think that's kind of what I did to my parents when I would lash out and fight back. Because I needed them to prove to me, even though it wasn't necessary, even though in my brain I should have known this, that they loved me, that they still cared about me, but that they would, walk to the ends of the earth for me, no matter how much of an asshole I was being. Because a lot of times kids don't understand where these feelings come from. That was how I was. I didn't understand any of this. None of it made sense to me. I mean, look, I'm 52 and I finally get it. I mean, could it have taken any longer? But the reason I share that and my age is because I want people to know that it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't. Healing can happen at any time. You can be 90 years old and go, you know what? I'm tired of putting up with this shit. I'm going to heal now. That's right. Damn it. Damn you, all you damn people that, did not add to my life, that just took. And I think that's how we differentiate, right? With the give and take. So if people are constantly taking and blaming you for all of their life's problems and troubles and this, that, and the other, blaming you directly, then, you get to decide how you handle that. You get to decide how you handle that. And you get to decide if, this is the peace that you're looking for. Because only we can tell, especially when you love somebody, only we can what's going on. So, I hope this made sense. I really hope it made sense because I feel, again, my brain is trying to balance. So, and this is also, again, why I'm taking tomorrow off. And, and as you know, I have not done a Friday show in a while. Excuse me. But I do hope it made sense. My brain is firing on different cylinders in different directions. I feel like an octopus right now. So here's a fun fact. Okay, an octopus has its brain, but also every tentacle on an octopus basically has its own brain and can operate on its own. It can do 8 different things at one time because octopi are amazing. Okay, they're some wild creatures and they can fit through anything. All right, I mean, seriously. I mean, they're like super wow. Okay. And then also the story I was going to share is I was talking to older sibling yesterday and I was on my way to go run some errands, and this dragonfly just stopped. I mean, I got a yellow light, and a lot of times, if I know the light, I can go through the yellow, but I thought, nah, I'm just going to stop. And it was meant for me to stop because all of a sudden this dragonfly just starts flying, and then it flew back and looked right in the car like, Shelly Marie, I see you, and then flew away. And I was like, okay, that's my mother. That's my mother sending me a sign going, hey, how's it going? But dragonflies are also, continuing life, the continuation of life, the ongoing flow of life. That's why, in honor of my mother, I have a dragonfly with little hearts. And if you notice, I don't know if you can see it, I also have the semicolon because my story is not over yet. My story has tried to end itself several times, but it is not over yet, and I'm still going, and I'm still here to share all this with you, to yammer at you, having things fall out of my face that I don't even remember saying sometimes because it comes out so fast. But yeah, so just remember, I'm going to finish it with this. I'm going to finish it with the first thing that we read that Sammy shared with us. I am what I am at any particular moment by standing on the shoulders of an infinite series of yesterdays. So, again, I am what I am at any particular moment by standing on the shoulders of an infinite series of yesterdays. So, again, I hope this made sense. I wasn't directing this at anyone in particular, but if anything resonated, then, think about it. Okay, think about what has been said today. Think about, how we can do things differently, or how we can, help guide people through what they're going through, or how we can be there for them, how we can, shelter them from their own storms. It's not always, love isn't always about walking away and protecting ourselves. Sometimes there are people who migrate into our lives, and, like I said, it can be for a moment, a reason, a season, or a lifetime, right? That's the meme that's always out there. A reason, a season, or a lifetime. But I added a moment because sometimes we might meet somebody just sitting on a bench that might, say something so profound that it guides us on our journey. It helps us. It sticks in our minds. It hits us like an anvil on the poor coyote. Sibling and I had a debate about the coyote and the roadrunner. She's team roadrunner, whatever. I'm team coyote. Sorry, but oh, Allie, thank you. She said she needed to hear this today. I appreciate that, and so are you, girl. You need to remember that, okay? Every single one of you still listening and watching right now, you are all wonderful people. You're amazing, and don't let anybody ever take that from you. Ever. If you are guiding someone through something, or you are sitting there being the verbal punching bag for somebody because they can't seem to get their own shit together, and I don't mean the people that you're guiding through on their journey. I mean the people that refuse to heal, that refuse to acknowledge there's anything wrong with themselves, that just sit there and make snide remarks, or make comments, or try to make you feel sorry for them, or try to make you feel bad about something. Don't let them steal your awesomeness. Stay true to your power. Stay true in your power. Stand in your power. And remind yourself that no matter what they're trying to beat you down with, do not let them win. Do not let them win. We might be angry about it. We might be sad about it. We might even grieve it for a moment. But don't live in those feelings. Don't forget to circle back and remind yourself, you know what? I'm an awesome human being. If you got to write it on your mirror in your bathroom or in your bedroom, do it. Dry erase marker. Dry erase marker only. Shelly Marie told you, dry erase marker so it comes off. So, oh, thank you, Sammy. She says like a 2-ton heavy thing. Yeah, right? Sometimes it feels like double, like times 2. So thank you for that. I appreciate that. I feel better because I was kind of like, yeah. Like I said, I got an octopus brain today. It's firing in all kinds of directions. And unfortunately, unlike an octopus, it doesn't know what it's doing. An octopus knows, okay? It's like, I got 8 tentacles and it knows everything it's doing. All my tentacles are kind of like, they're pulling in different directions. And I'm stuck in the middle going, please, please do not draw and quarter me. So anyways, I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. I hope you have a fabulous, fabulous weekend and rest of the week. Take care of yourselves. Stand in your awesomeness. Stand in your power. Stand in the wonder of who you are. And if you do not feel that yet, get on that healing journey. Get to that finish line Get to the starting line to get to that finish line. Remember, surviving to thriving. Surviving is where some of you might be. The 2 part, T-O, surviving to thriving. 2 is the journey. Thriving is where I'm at, but still trying to figure it out. Because even though it says thriving, I'm kind of like, okay, how? So, and sometimes, honestly, I think it's going to be as simple as just go with the flow. Just let it happen. And that's the part I need to learn. I need to learn to let go of control. Because I don't need to control every aspect of my life. It kept me safe for a long time. It served its purpose in my life, but it's not something that serves me any longer. There are things we need to control in life. Those are the regular ancillary life things, right? But when it comes to just kind of choke holding my life, I need to learn how to stop doing that. And when I learn that, I'll truly be in thriving. But I am in thriving because the healing journey was the TO between surviving and thriving. And if you're just surviving, if you feel like you're just surviving, I am here for you, okay? I am here for you. And I want, you can message me. You can message me on any of the socials if you need an ear, you need someone to vent to. But I am here because I know how hard a healing journey can be. I know how scary it can be. And I know how even if you're just in survival mode and you're just existing and you're trying so hard to claw your way out of that hole, I know how scary it can be because you get to the top and you're kind of peeking up like this, right? And you're like, is it safe out there? Do I want to be out here? Because it's a little scary. And it is. It can be. Some people just do it. They shoot out of these, holes like Superman going like, yeah, look at me. I did it. And some of us are kind of like peeking, like, literally like, is it safe? There's that damn hummingbird again. I'm sorry, not damn hummingbird. There's that hummingbird again. But anyways, I don't know. You know what? Here's your homework. Look up the spiritual meaning of a dragonfly. Just Google it. Spiritual meaning of dragonfly, spiritual meaning of hummingbird. Because somebody just told me to tell you that because I don't know, for somebody it is going to hit them like a 2-ton heavy thing. Like a 2-ton heavy thing. All right. So again, Allie, baby sibling, older sibling, hybrid muddy, thank you all so much for coming on. Anybody else I may not have seen that came on, and to all of you who are watching later, thank you for getting this far. I know sometimes I ramble. It is my gift. It may not be a gift for you, but it's a personality trait. I just ramble. But have a great, great day. Have a wonderful, wonderful and safe weekend. Okay. I love you too, Allie. Thank you. And I love all you. I love all of you, whether I know you or not. If you need to hear that, and I mean it 100%. If you are watching this, I love you because you know what? We all need somebody who's on our side, even in our darkest moments. Love you too, Sammy. Oh, I'm getting all the love today. I love it. See, this is going to bring me right into my journey, and of figuring all this out. And like I said, watch it be as simple as go with the flow, Shelley Marie. Go with the flow. So, yeah, I got a lot of journaling ahead of me. So again, have a great day, everybody. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on Monday. Have a great day and weekend.